Good afternoon, guys. Welcome to my talk on VoIP security methodologies. My name is Barry Dempster. I work for NGS in Scotland, and I have a very Scottish accent. So, if anything's unclear at all, feel free to, stick your hand up and ask for clarification. So, today we're going to talk about some of the security issues with VoIP and how to assess these things effectively, how to find vulnerabilities, and how to deal with them. And we'll have a bit of a case study on this with the Asterisk open source PBX system. If you were in the talk earlier today, the ISEC guys talked about some of the problems with the protocols and how they can have authentication issues and that sort of thing. We won't cover that in this talk because we're talking more about finding vulnerabilities in the implementations of these protocols and not within the protocols themselves. So the VoIP security issues, VoIP seen as quite a major problem, and people think that VoIP security is one of the massive issues. But if you're quite systematic in your approach to voice over IP and you look at it from the point of view of just being another set of protocols, another set of applications, another set of databases, then you can actually assess it quite effectively. You can't probe and parse. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the term probe and parse. It's when you have like a vulnerability scanner, you have like Nessus or Civis, which is the one that is used against voice over IP applications. You can check these applications and you can check the return values, and you can see what problems are within these systems. So that works quite well on web servers. It works well on database servers, and it works well on a number of different applications. And it does have some application with voice over IP. However, there is a little bit more to it than that. You can go a little bit further with voice over IP. There are things that these probe and parse vulnerability scanners won't pick up. And in order to do that, you need multiple discipline knowledge. You need to know about data networks and how they fit together. You need to know about voice networks, and you need to have some security knowledge as well. So one of the issues with VoIP is convergence. Now, most people don't see that as an issue; they see it as a selling point. But convergence, so the idea with convergence is that you will save money, you will save resources, you will save time, you will save administration effort by combining your voice systems and your data systems into one environment. Is everyone familiar with that? Yeah? Have you had that, conveyed in the past and, in sales meetings and that type of thing? Now, that goes against network security best practice because we segregate networks. We have DMZs, we have secure zones, we pull things apart. So this idea of convergence, it makes administration an easier thing to do. But if you break into this network and you've got access to a box on a converged network, you then have access to not only the voice components, but you have access to the data components, or vice versa. So we'll have a little bit of a look at convergence. This is a quote from the NIST security considerations for voice over IP systems. And it says, "The flexibility of VoIP comes at a price, added complexity in securing voice and data. Because VoIP systems are connected to the data network and share many of the same hardware and software components, there are more ways for intruders to attack VoIP systems than a conventional voice telephone system or PBX system." Now, that's pretty good advice. That tells you right there that converging these systems is giving people more avenues of attack, more ways in, and a much higher attack surface. And we all know that a large attack surface is not a good thing within a secure environment. So we'll have a bit of a look at some diagrams. Now, this is a simplified diagram of a client system that we come across and how it was put together. So you've got it says front end here, but it's just a VoIP server. It's the only VoIP server. It may have a gateway in front of it. But you've got the voice network, you've got the internal data network, you have the internet, and you have some other connection to some sort of telephony network. It could be ISDN, it could be T1, it could be whatever. So you can see right here, it's a pretty good illustration of the fact that this one central server is now connecting these four networks together. So if you hack this box from the internal voice network, if you hack it from the data network, the internet, wherever you hack this box from, you have more access to, to the internal systems, and you can do more with the systems. And people have even taken it further recently. I don't know if you've seen these phones that Cisco do and Avaya and Nortel, where you have the phone and you have a little jack to plug your computer into it as well. So not only is the networks converged, they're physically going through the same connection. And I don't know if you're familiar with the security of VoIP phones. They're not very good. And you have your data network passing straight through that. And these voice phones have like web servers built into them and all sorts of functionality, which is just not good for keeping your network nice and secure. So you'll all be familiar with this setup: front end, back end, web servers, application servers, database servers. Split it up. It makes sense. This is how you do it with like traditional network security, so why not do the same thing with VoIP? Why not segregate it and keep it entirely separate as much as possible, and stick it in firewalls and IDSs with VoIP capabilities if you want, and make it much more of a secure network overall. So we can talk about the threats now that we come across within the VoIP network. Now this is these are not all the threats that are involved in VoIP. This is like the main threats, the ones that people are interested in and aware of. Like take toll fraud for an example. Does anyone know of a case of toll fraud that's happened within the past few years? Raise your hands, anyone? Can you tell me what it was, how it happened? Yep. Okay, so did the guys that did that, did they use like a vulnerability that was like built into SIP or built into H323 or anything like that? Yeah, like default passwords, that kind of thing. And that's the problem with voice over IP systems. It's not the protocols and the problems within them, it's the implementations of these protocols and the configurations of the systems. So as we go through this, we'll have a closer look at how to assess these particular components, because these are the things that you can't probe and parse for these configuration errors and so on. So we'll look at eavesdropping. It's fairly simple, fairly straightforward. You sniff the connection, you can do what you want, you have all sorts of data. Misrepresentation, which is a long word for telling lies. And within that, we'll see a little bit about caller ID. Won't focus on it too much. Everyone knows about caller ID spoofing. It's not a major deal. Where we'll put more focus on within this talk is another entry point section at the bottom. That's the main problem with voice over IP systems, is not that they can be listened into. Telephones can be listened into. They can all be listened into. Not that you can spoof caller ID. That's been happening for years. It's a known issue. Another entry point is what scares people. It's what gets people into the systems, and it's where people lose money and they lose business and they lose time. So we'll talk about toll fraud. It's easy to do. It's not hard to steal services from someone. You just need to take a close look at the system and find the slight error, like the guy down here said. It's fairly simple errors, so like misconfiguration of direct inward system access, default passwords, and even simple social engineering. And the reason that people will commit toll fraud is because it's very profitable. You can use these services for free. You don't have to invest anything in order to use them, and you can resell them, which is what happened in the case of is it Andre Pena, the guy a few years ago who was reselling VoIP services to his clients that he'd stolen from other people. And it's been happening for a long time, way prior to VoIP. Toll fraud was happening as long as telephone systems have been around. I'm sure we're all familiar with phreaking and the original birth of network security. It all came around from people looking at phone systems and finding problems within them. So VoIP doesn't bring these issues on its own. It hasn't invented these issues. They've been around for a long time. And the main problem that we have with VoIP, the newness, the reason that you guys are here and you're listening to a VoIP presentation, is that there are more peers to the connection. You're no longer just plugged into your telco, your baby bells and so on. You have more people involved in the conversation. So you're using Skype or you're using SIP or so on at the coffee shop. Then you have the coffee shop's ISP involved. Then there's your voice service provider involved as well. And then the telco are involved, at the lower levels. So a lot more people involved, and you're not encrypting these conversations. Skype, yep, they do some encryption. There's been some work on that. It's not the focus of what we're looking at just now, but they do have encryption options. Does anyone here have a VoIP service account that provides encryption? No one? Excellent. Validates my point quite clearly. Well, as long as you guys do actually have VoIP service providers, yeah? Yeah? So you use them without encryption? Anyone? You don't use VoIP service at all? You use it with encryption or without? Yeah. Z-Phone, yeah, Phil Zimmerman's talk earlier today. So that's one of the mitigations for it, is you can plug in something third party like Z-Phone, and that's a good approach. But the trouble with that is that it's not it's not compatible with other VoIP services. So you can't call from like Skype and other VoIP services and use Z-Phone and all of these things. So the issue there is that you have so many complications and added issues to the VoIP conversation. You have, in the UK, we have supermarkets that are selling VoIP services now. We have all sorts of people who will sell you a VoIP service, but they won't let you call all the other people. You have to get plugins and add-ons. Like the Asterisk server will speak IAX and SIP and so on, but to speak Skype, you have to get an extra add-on for that, to support the conversation. And you have all this data manipulation going on. So your SIP client is doing data manipulation, and then you have Z-Phone at another layer doing data manipulation. And that's all scope for finding software problems, finding bugs, and finding inconsistencies. So misrepresentation, caller ID spoofing. We'll go over this quite quickly because I don't think it's new, I don't think it's interesting, but it needs to be mentioned. There's a lot of different ways to do this. You can just call a number now and they'll do it for you. And it's been around for a long time. It existed way before VoIP. It's just easy to do now. So you don't need any technical knowledge to do it. Paris Hilton could do it. She broke into people's voicemail using caller ID spoofing services on the T-Mobile network. You also have different ways to misrepresent during a voice conversation. You can misrepresent authority and rights and content. And these are words from the VoIP security threat taxonomy that VoIPs have released. That really just means using the system when you don't have the proper access to it. And then you have this vishing word, which I don't like. It's a made-up word. It doesn't actually mean anything at all. And you can have voice recorders and modifiers and all that sort of stuff, which are much easier to do now as well, because you can get packet dumps from the the voice conversation, which is not as easy to do for the general public when they're using traditional telephones. So denial of service is considered a major issue with VoIP services and VoIP providers. Most other services don't take it terribly seriously, and I generally don't